Alright, so let's kick this off. First video. Let's get into something that I was debating someone on Facebook about the other day. Immigration and the border camps. By border camps, I mean the detention facilities on the United States and Mexico border. There's been this, I don't know, I guess you could say consensus going around from a lot of people that those camps are very similar to concentration camps. No. Not from what I've seen. If someone can show me a better argument, I'm all ears. But until someone presents better facts than what I've been seeing, no. And let's just start with the obvious one. First of all, the Holocaust Nazi death camps were exactly that, death camps. Okay? They took people there to kill them, burn them, gas them, and then dig big massive graves to bury all the bodies in. Okay? We're not doing that. The United States-Mexico border. It's just not happening, guys. Now, if we want to debate the conditions of these border camps, you might have a point. But a big part of the problem with the conditions at those camps, keep in mind, CBP asked for funding months ago to better provide quality care. Now, if you want to debate how well they would have handled the money, it's hypothetical because they didn't get the money. They didn't get the money because Democrats wanted to preach for months and months. There was no such crisis at the border. It's manufactured. Manufactured crisis was the term that kept getting thrown around so casually. It's all manufactured crisis. And even in the last package that was voted on for the humanitarian aid, one of the people who has made the comparison that it is a concentration camp be AOC, and she voted against that package. She voted against it. And yet she's complaining about the conditions. I don't get it. The conditions are bad, but you don't want to provide any money to help. Yet you want to try to put a Green New Deal in place that's going to cost trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. I mean, can someone figure this out for me? Because it's not making any sense to me. And that brings me to the whole thing. I'm no fan of AOC at all. Some of the people I watch are, and shout out to people who I'm subscribed to, Secular Talk, Kyle Kulinski, and Jimmy Dore. I like both of them. I have to disagree with them on AOC, and there's probably going to be a lot of things they may hear me say if they ever watch any of these videos that they won't necessarily agree with either. But we won't always agree with each other, and that's part of what I like about being an independent. I want to bring people back together to be able to work. But I digress. Back to these border camps. So that's problem number one. Problem number two, we're not rounding up any Hispanics in this country and taking them to camps. The only way you end up at that camp is if you were detained at the border. No place to do one of those camps. And by the way, the only way they're getting detained at the border is because the big migrant group or caravan marches to the border. When did the Jews march to Auschwitz? When did the Jews march to a single Nazi camp in a big group waiting to get in? These people are marching to the border. They know full well what's waiting on them at the border. Then the next thing the guy wanted to say, that how it's building to becoming a Nazi-style concentration camp, is that President Trump is attacking the protection laws of the immigrants, such as their right to claim asylum. He's not letting them claim asylum anymore. Well, I have to disagree with that. They can still claim asylum. Only thing President Trump said was that they need to apply for asylum at each country they pass through on the way to this country. And if you're really just trying to seek asylum from a country besides the one that you're living in, you got a problem there, you need to escape, I would think you would be trying to apply for asylum in each of those countries so that they would protect you. If you're not, you're just feeding the argument that the only reason you came to this country was to try to get in a back door to this country, bypass the legal system, and use asylum as your reason. So I don't mean to sound like I don't have a heart, but that's the thing. These people are coming here of their own free will. Okay? So if they end up in that facility, they knew what was waiting on them. Okay? It still needs to be improved, and that's why they asked for funding. Now they finally have. Alright? But no, I don't think that their protections are being targeted at this point. If something happens and then, the evidence becomes undeniable, so be it. And if someone can show me that evidence now, I'm willing to read it, I'm willing to listen. As of right now, I'm not seeing that evidence. Okay? A couple other things we went back and forth on in this whole border concentration camp thing. I had to give this man a history lesson. So we've already had camps in this country where a group of American people who were already living in the country were rounded up and taken to camps and put there and kept there against their will. Those would be the Japanese detainment camps set up during World War II after we were attacked, Pearl Harbor. Who put them there? FDR. FDR was a Democrat. FDR was regarded as the hero of that era, the only president to be elected for 4 terms. The hero of the Democrat Party that pulled us out of the Great Depression. Well, he might have pulled us out of the Great Depression, but you can't deny those camps ever existed. That happened under the rule of the Democrat Party, first and foremost. Let's rewind the clocks. Go back to that Muslim ban everyone wanted to attack President Trump on. Why does that sound familiar about having a Muslim? Oh, because Jimmy Carter had a form of a Muslim ban. And who was Jimmy Carter? President and what party? The Democrat Party. So for the left to come out guns a-blazing about this whole issue, it's nothing but partisan politics. Now you can morally disagree with it. But you have to at some point admit that the party you're supporting supported these very same type things at some point in history. Don't take the moral high ground if you're going to vote Democrat, considering the Democrat Party has been associated with all these things. For God's sake, if you thought Hillary Clinton was going to be any better on the border, Hillary Clinton sang the praises of Senator Robert Byrd when Senator Robert Byrd died. She made a video about how great of a man he was. Robert Byrd was in the Ku Klux Klan. You call President Trump racist. Senator Robert Byrd was in the KKK. And he wasn't just an ordinary member. Oh no. Senator Robert Byrd was a high-ranking member of the Ku Klux Klan. To Rachel Maddow's credit on MSNBC, she did cover the fact that when Senator Robert Byrd was alive, there were stories of women of color getting onto an elevator, and he started to sing to them Dixie. Dixie. Now, people from the South might love the song, but obviously, if you're singing it at a black lady, there's a pretty clear implication there. And Hillary Clinton sang this guy's praises. Hillary Clinton and her husband Bill, that's where you get the crime bill from. So did you really think it would be any different? So this is nothing but partisan politics and propaganda networks trying to brainwash people into thinking President Trump is doing something that hasn't been done before. He's going to rule and become a dictator. Let me be honest with you. For everything that I disagree with on President Trump, him becoming a dictator is not one of my concerns. Concerns I do have with President Trump, gee, I don't know. Putting a war hawk like John Bolton in his cabinet can't help anything. Not at all. And thank God he doesn't just let that man control him, or we would probably already be at war with Iran, and he wouldn't have called off that airstrike after the drone was shot down. But John Bolton was gung-ho to carry that one out. John Bolton is one of those guys you ever heard the saying, he never met a war he didn't like. But no. People like AOC like to compare these detention camps to the concentration camps. And something else the guy brought up in the argument with me. He said, well, by definition, it's a concentrated group of people being held in a camp against their will. Okay, yeah, definition, maybe. You might have the book definition there. But you know and I know that wasn't the point of that post. They had the pictures side by side. They were trying to draw the direct comparison using visual imagery of pictures of both camps, because they both look like tent-type buildings, to say that this is a modern-day Nazi camp. The Nazis. It's a Nazi camp. It's a Holocaust camp. It's just in the United States. Period. That was a comparison. No one was trying to just harmlessly use that term for the book definition. And everyone who would be sane would know that if you use the term a concentration camp, that's going to put one thought into the mind of everyone. That's the Holocaust. You're going to make people think about the Holocaust. That was the point. And if anything, people on the left should not be trying to play word games to defend their own poor language, considering they look for anything, no matter how big or small. They could take a statement like America First from Trump's inauguration and try to turn it into something racist. Now, there's been plenty of stuff President Trump has said that I don't agree with. Plenty of it you could take as possible prejudice language. I'll play devil's advocate here and give you that. With America First, he's just wanting to put the American people and the American workers first. Subject, and we can cover that in later videos. As far as the trade deals, etc. But they look for anything to get the message across that he is a racist. It doesn't matter what he says or how agreeable it may be. They want to soundbite it and chop it up and make the man sound like he's a racist. It's ridiculous. That's what this country has came to. That's what this country has came to. People like AOC aren't helping, and they're not helping it either when they sit there and say that the people inside are drinking out of toilets. They're drinking toilet water. What it is, they're getting their water from a unit. This was debunked very quickly. It's got a sink up top and a toilet down bottom and two water pipes that come in the back of it. It's one unit. It's basically like what you'd have if you were in prison. Okay? And so, you know, going back to the whole asylum thing, I had to ask the guy, what did you want President Trump to do? He has to stop the flow of people because there's too many. The conditions are already bad. The Democrats, we basically had to pull teeth to get the funding that we just got passed. We can't keep this up. Something's got to give. They don't, and even in that funding, there was still nothing for the wall. He had to declare state of emergency for that. Courts have tried to since block that. They didn't want to give him the money for the wall, even though they voted. Late 2000, and who would vote? Senator Obama when he was a senator. Senator Clinton when she was a senator. Chuck Schumer voted in favor of it. Okay, Dick Durbin voted in favor of it. All of them wanted the border fencing, border barrier, whatever, until President Trump came along. They all voted for it before. They don't want to vote for it now. Okay? Hypocrisy, tribalism, partisan politics. That's what it is. Pure and simple. Okay? So, you can't secure the border because you can't get the money. You can't make the conditions better hardly because you're fighting to get that money. Okay? They don't want to, you can't get Congress and the Senate all on the same page to reform the asylum laws, reform the immigration, secure the border. You can't get all this done. And so what's the other alternative? What are we going to go with? Some of what the people on the left like AOC, or even for that matter, a lot of people running for president right now saying that we should decriminalize it to cross the border so that it shouldn't be illegal anymore to illegally cross our border and not try to go through a port of entry or come through what we would consider legal. We're going to decriminalize that. Okay. There's a reason when we have legal immigrants coming in within the course of a year, there's a cap on that number. That cap is there so that we don't take in too many and it disturbs our economy. It hurts our resources. We can't just let a flood of people in. Nor should we just let a ton of people in that we don't really know anything about and don't know what they're really coming here for. If you're coming here for a better life, I empathize with you. I really do. And I admire that you're going to put yourself through all that to try to provide a better life for your family. I have nothing but respect for someone trying to do better for their family. There's a lot of other people who don't have that intention in mind. So we can't just let everyone pour through. So your alternative is going to ruin the economy and hurt the whole country. So obviously, President Trump's not going to take that option. But he can't get the Democrats to come to the table to work with him on anything else. So he kind of tied his hands. There's really not much left for the man to be able to do. So he had to go after something like those asylum laws and say, you need to be claiming asylum all the way up through the country. If you start 3 countries beyond Mexico, you better be applying for asylum in each of those other countries after you left your own to see if you can get asylum, especially Mexico. And if you don't, you're not just going to hike through 3 countries and then get to Ireland and say, oh, I want asylum. I want asylum. I mean, at that point, you went through 3 whole countries just to get this one. You maybe not even have to be 3. Even if you just started right at the Mexico border, you still walked all the way across Mexico to get to our border, and you didn't once try for asylum there. Why? Why not? You had all that time, all that, miles of traveling, and you didn't once try for asylum. Makes no sense. So, I think people need to realize, no matter what you think about President Trump or the issue at the border, language like that, highly offensive. Highly offensive to those who actually went through the Holocaust. And we shouldn't be talking like that. If you got a problem with the stuff President Trump says, remember that before you use that sort of language and make a comparison that is just downright false. The conditions might be bad at the border. They could be real bad at the border. But unless we're intentionally rounding them up and taking them there to kill them, it's not the same kind of camp that Hitler had. So don't make the comparison. You're only going to make yourself look bad. If you like the video, please like and share. And please subscribe to the channel. We'll be dropping more videos lately. And if you want, leave a comment. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good day.